Welcome, everybody, to the DLLS Stars podcast on this Wednesday, August 5th, alongside Sam Nessler and Craig Ludwig and our producer, Ryan Vaughters. I'm Owen Newkirk. So happy to have you here. Before we get into all the fun today, a quick reminder for all the diehards out there. We are getting ready for All City Rank Week, which is coming up in about a week and a half. So if you can, head over to our website, alldlls.com. There is now a page where diehards can log in and vote for all the different rankings that they've been putting together. If you have already checked out the Discord channel, there are avenues and polls set up through there as well. So it's part of the greatest of all time survey. Sam is already at the top of the list in about 4 categories. I don't want to divulge which yet, but check them out. And if you aren't yet a diehard, sign up today. Use the QR code, which is right by Luds, and you can get in on the action and vote before we have Rank Week, which is coming up the week of August 17th.
But it looks like I'm pointing at it right here.
I know, it's always backward. I always do the same thing. Go opposite of what you think.
Don't go that way. It's over there. Yeah.
Wait,
I know.
do I got it right now?
Now you got it.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
All right. Well, fellas, aside from watching Luds use the mirror here on this, we're going to talk about the New York Rangers today, the team that got worse last year than they did the year before. And that's not promising, although they did go for a big splash adding Pavel Dorofeyev, and that could ignite, Luds, a retooling, as Chris Drury insists, not a rebuilding. But boy, if they're retooling, they're throwing out just about the entire toolbox because they have overhauled this roster. There's very few from the team that went to the conference final in 2024 and lost to the Florida Panthers before the Panthers' first Stanley Cup, as they have really circled around Adam Fox and, of course, Igor Shesterkin, moving on from the likes of, their old guard, the Chris Kreiders, the Jacob Trubas, and that like.
If you're moving on from all of those guys, what is the difference between a retool and a rebuild? Besides being a politer way, isn't this the same? Is this the same organization that wrote some kind of fancy letter to all their fans? 2 of them, Sam? 2 of those letters, right?
Yes.
Listen, this isn't Utah. It's not Seattle. It's not one of these newer markets where the fans don't know what the hell's going on. If there's a team in America that knows what's going on, it's the New York Ranger fans, right? And so I don't get it. No, Dorofeyev, yeah, okay, but did that have a lot more to do with Vegas couldn't afford him, right? And they needed to get something for him, so they did. Good on them. Good on both teams. But it'll be interesting to see where his numbers go. I mean, I know he's knocking on the door and he's a good player. He can score goals. We've seen that. Knocking on the door a couple times with 40 goals. So let's just see if Zibanejad, is he the guy that's supposed to be setting him up? And, maybe he gets him on the power play because we know he can score on the power play. But anyway, the retool and rebuild and the letters good try. So maybe Drury should be writing a letter to himself and then read it at night.
Hey, Sam, I don't know if this sounds crazy or if this is just the state of things. Are the New York Islanders right now the best team in the New York metro area?
Yeah, and not only best, but more promising. Right? They have Schaefer. They have more to look forward to. And unfortunately, I'm going to ask Mollie about this, but the Rangers were so close. Right? What was their last cup? Was 94, I think. They had 2 chances. Lost in the final to the Kings during that Kings back-to-back or crazy
big Henrik Lundqvist year.
Yep, the Henrik Lundqvist era. Then they had that run again, as you mentioned, where they lost in the conference final. I think they lost in the conference final a couple times, but then they just immediately kind of took a step back and went first round or missed the playoffs, and now they've taken a real step back. I think they were dead last in the East last year. Unfortunately, as Leds is talking about, Dorofeyev is really their only big move. And if the Rangers have anything going for them, it's a power play. They were already pretty good on the power play. So it's not like, hey, fix the power play with Dorofeyev and we have a chance here. We lost a really good scorer and we replaced him with a maybe as good scorer, but one who scores a lot more on the power play. I don't really know where they're headed. Unfortunately, they're wasting one of the best goalies in the world's prime right now. And they don't, I mean, he's not old or anything, but they need to figure it out while he's still there and still in his prime, because you go a whole decade without winning a cup or at least getting there with Shesterkin, and you're going to regret that, because they don't just grow on trees. They've had a lot of luck with Lundqvist pretty much going right into Shesterkin, not a huge gap there, but that's not going to continue to happen forever.
You know, I'm glad you brought up Mollie. Mollie Walker will be our guest today on the Other 31. She of the New York Post is the beat writer for the Rangers, does a phenomenal job. She was on our show last year. I believe Katya was producing at the time, and Kat had a great moment where they talked about the media dining meal in Detroit at Little Caesars Arena. I have been instructed to follow up on that to make sure they've maintained that ranking. So we'll get to that. Luds, Sam's absolutely right, though. Shesterkin is one of the class goaltenders in the NHL right now. He, for a little while, it felt like was the only strategy for the Rangers to get wins over the last couple of years was, can he stand on his head? And if not, do they have a shot to win? But they did add a couple of defensemen. Right? They traded Vincent Trocheck away. That felt like that was a year or two in the making. And they got Sean Durzi back, as well as going out and signing Marcus Pettersson. And so suddenly they have that's like two middle pairing blue liners, right? And so I think that helps a little bit. I know they have some young players. If you look at their forward group, they have a lot of up and coming guys. They got a couple of former first round draft picks in some of these trades they've made. So in some regards, I feel like they are making progress, but I don't know if it's going to translate into this season, especially. We've been doing a lot of Eastern Conference teams to start our Other 31, and I don't know how they're going to get past the murky middle of this Eastern Conference this year. Do you?
There's your retool. That's the retool. Yeah, I mean, Durzi's been on, what is this now, his third team in 5 years? So, and I don't know if he's been a plus player in any of those seasons, maybe one, but regardless, I guess he's going to give you a little bit more offense. He's 8, 9, 10, maybe goal guy from the back end. I guess the guy, when you talk about Shesterkin, the guy that Shesterkin may be a little bit happier is about Pettersson. I mean, because he may get you 1 or 2 goals a year, but he's, a big boy, long reach. I would think it's a guy that you want to bring in, into your club to kind of shore up some things that are going on in your own end, because, like you said, little younger teams, some younger players, and see where they go from there. And, we'll see how hard the goals are to come by 5-on-5 this year for them.
Sam, let's go back to the season series, because the Stars swept it. I don't know if it was major headlines. They actually got out. Well, they didn't sweep it. Sorry. They lost in overtime in the first game. I'm overshadowed in that game in Madison Square Garden because Tyler Seguin, right? That was a big moment for the Stars, losing Seguin to a torn ACL hit by Vladislav Gavrikov, who happened to score the overtime winning goal in that game on a rebound. I say that because the Stars were not the better team in that game. Still had a chance to win. They were up 2-1. Will Cooley scored a late 6-on-5 goal, and then they won it in overtime. And you're sitting there going, oh, a point lost. But really, it was overshadowed by the Seguin injury. It ended his season. And we still, although we think he's going to be able to be ready for camp, we're not 100% certain.
Yeah, I think we talked about it a ton when it happened, right? That was one of the more emotional ones for Stars fans, teammates, coaches, everybody, because Jim Nill has said it multiple times since the season ended. Tyler may have been playing the best hockey of his career, not necessarily scoring the highlight reel goals he was scoring with Ben in 2014 or whatever, but two-way hockey, winning a ton of faceoffs. I think he was like plus 10 already in this season. You had the chemistry going on with Duchesne, and everything looked like it was, wow, look what we got. I mean, a year ago, people were saying, Tyler Seguin, man, he's still overpaid, even though technically the market's gone up a crazy amount. The contract looks bad, but if this guy can put up 25, 30 goals, that contract doesn't look bad anymore. And then boom, just like that, freak accident, nothing dirty about it. And it was a gut punch for them. So for that one, I think the look on now is for Tyler. We've said it 100 times on this show, but is he going to try to come back right away? Is he going to take it slow? We know Tyler Seguin very well. We know he will push to come back as soon as he can. And the hope is that he's healthy after that. But the one thing with the Stars and Rangers, I feel like for the last 5 so years, it's been dramatic games between the two of them. Like you just mentioned, the late 6-on-5 goal.
Always something late.
The one last year I was at MSG was the one the Stars scored super late and then won it in overtime on a power play. Then I got kicked out of MSG. And then a few years before that, I think, was the one where they scored the super late goal where the Stars had everything going. And
Stars had a shutout going and then ended up losing the game.
Who was the defenseman? Miller? Was it Miller that scored the...
It might have been Keandre Miller,
like a freak shot that like snuck through everybody, and then the Rangers won it like right away in overtime. So it's always a fun matchup no matter what happens. And those Eastern Conference games are pretty wacky sometimes. But
Miller would look pretty good on their blue line. Hey, Sam? Oh, that's right. He was there once, but they got rid of him. No, I think he's probably still celebrating somewhere in Carolina.
That worked out really well for the Canes, didn't it? Luds, what do you think about that? Adam Fox is their linchpin, right? Obviously, they gave Gavrikov big money a year ago, but he looked like one of the best defensemen in the NHL, and he deservedly was awarded because of it. But lately, it feels like he has not been able to maintain that extremely lofty standard.
Well, he had an injury, right? But I think, honestly, I think he's the sum of his parts. And again, when you're talking about when he was that guy, one of the best defensemen in the league, he was surrounded by better players, better forwards. And you look at the kind of game that they played, and they were just a better team. And so I don't know, is Fox the guy that can carry the load by himself? I think, like a lot of players, they're way, way better players when they're surrounded by good players. And it's one thing to take a guy like Adam Fox and play with, and I'm talking about from a forward line standpoint. And the third line guys, that's probably not going to get it done because he's the kind of guy that, I can think of the Zubovs and, the Miros and guys like that are more setup guys. So guys have to finish for him. A lot of points on the power play, which he was a great power play guy. And he still is. So, those are the kind of guys you kind of wonder at night. You wonder at night in the off season,
what's the internal monologue?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you're kind of running through, am I going to get any points this year? Am I going to get back to a 60, 70, 80 point kind of season? And honestly, you probably look around your roster, your lineup sheet and go, we'll see. Well, although we got Dorofeyev, and you know what? He's a great power play guy. He's going to be your lead power play quarterback. So I got a feeling he'll be looking for him quite a bit.
The funny thing, Sam, is that Adam Fox won a Norris Trophy 6 years ago. Yeah. I was stunned because you think of it as being fairly recent. Yes, I know that as we get older, time moves faster and you go, how did it get that far away? But it may be that he's kind of been, again, let's mention the injury, not riding on the coattails of prior success, but that has sort of kept everybody thinking, oh, well, he's a former Norris Trophy. He's a great player, but I'm expecting him to be up in the Cale Makar conversation or the Quinn Hughes, and I don't know if he's been there lately.
Yeah, I wonder if it's, what was the shortened season, right, that he won it? The 2020,
2021, yes, very good.
Yeah, so, or what, COVID or shortened, whatever one that was.
Yep.
That was, as you mentioned, 6 years ago, and that was when they were thinking they were right there, and they got back one time since then. But I think 6 years kind of proves that. I mean, I'm not saying anything bad about Adam Fox. He's an incredible defenseman, but I think that was one of those where he won a Norris Trophy. That was his incredible year where he was, I might have been stupid about it, but I didn't know a whole lot about him when he won it. I remember seeing him, a video of him skating around, and they had put Norris on the back of his practice sweater. And I was like, who's this Norris guy? Like, I totally didn't know who it was. And I was like, oh, okay, I finally figured it out. So he wasn't like had been this Cale Makar guy for 5 years and finally won it. It was a big year for him. And he's still among, the best defensemen. And he's talked about in some big trade ideas, especially when Chris Drury put out his 17th letter in the last 3 years. Everyone says, okay, well, Adam Fox is going to go and Shesterkin's going to go, and those are the names, and they've stuck with him. But as Lud said, they just don't have the weapons around him. That was one where he needs the offensive weapons because he needs to rack up the assists and points, power play points, to be that Norris guy.
What year did you say he won the Norris?
It was 2021.
Are you sure? He played 55 games that year.
That was the shortened year.
He had, that's a PK Subban year. No, yeah, PK won that one too. I was going to say, he only had 5 goals that year.
Yeah, but they only played a 2/3 season or so. Yeah. Good
I'm
timing
telling you, I
indeed.
could have won in Norris, and we'd have played about a 5 or 10 game season when I was up in Montreal for a month and a half.
I love it. Hey, partial Norris. All right. Well, we got to get to Mollie, so let's do that next. Mollie Walker from the New York Post will join us here on the other 31 New York Rangers Day here on DLLS. The DLLS Stars podcast is brought to you by FanDuel. Baseball fans, think you know who's hitting a homer today? Well, FanDuel is giving you a free chance to call your shot with daily dingers. So, are you ready to play your game tonight? Join all the action at FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to play daily dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of the MLB. 21 and over select states. For Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino. 18 and over DC, Kentucky, Wyoming. No purchase necessary. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-MY-RESET. Call 1-888-789-7777. Visit ccpg.org/chat. Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Maryland. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org. Call 800-327-5050. Massachusetts. Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY. Text HOPE-NY, New York. Call 1-877-770-7867, Louisiana. WinStar World Casino and Resort is a destination unlike any other. As the world's largest casino, there's nowhere on earth guests will find a larger collection of electronic games, more than 10,500, plus 100 table games, an all-new Baccarat salon featuring an expanded selection of state-of-the-art Baccarat tables, and more. Beyond that, there's an entire world to explore with more than 1,700 luxury hotel rooms, a rejuvenating two-story spa designed for ultimate tranquility, and a 300,000 square foot entertainment venue, Lucas Oil Live. Located just north of the Texas-Oklahoma border alongside Interstate 35, WinStar World Casino and Resort presents unrivaled gaming action 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, alongside a vibrant culinary scene with 19 dining and beverage locations. DLLS Cowboys will be live from WinStar on August 20th. That's a Thursday, so stop by and say hi to the crew. Be sure to visit winstar.com for the most updated information before your next trip to WinStar World Casino and Resort. All right. It's time for us to welcome in our guest of the day, and we are thrilled to have Mollie Walker from the New York Post joining us for not the first, but the second time here on DLLS. Mollie, thank you so much for making some time. Your schedule was not easy to squeeze us in. They keep you very busy. There's no off season, it seems like.
I definitely do get a bit of an off season, but look, I am a team player over there at the New York Post, and I am happy to go to the ballpark whenever they want me to, cover the U.S. Open for them, whatever they need. I'm happy to help out.
Well, this is a weird segue, but you did mention the New York Post, as did I, and so I wanted to start by asking about your late colleague, Larry Brooks, who it's amazing. It was November, so it was last season, but it feels like ages ago, and it probably feels like yesterday. You wrote an incredible tribute to him. And I just would like to ask you your personal thoughts, if you could share with us, because a lot of people think of Larry Brooks of snapshots of him and John Tortorella snapping at each other. And we all love that. But there were, as you laid it out, a lot more layers to him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know where to begin with that one. The most amazing man I've ever known, truly. It was a really hard season for me, for sure. It took a bit of time for me to adjust to not having someone as giant as he is in this space right by my side all the time. But the good thing is, you know, throughout the entire rest of the season, the amount of people on both the media side and the team side, league side, that sought me out and just shared their stories and shared things that they remembered about brushing elbows with Larry in a locker room, some good, some bad. And I think that was probably the coolest part. And you know what, even since the season has ended, you know, even just going to the shoulder check showcase the other day at Sacred Heart, someone came up to me and was telling me stories about Larry. So I'm so grateful that I got to even be in his orbit for as long as I was. And I'm so grateful that I'll get to talk about him for the rest of my life and talk about him with people who knew him and keep his memory alive.
Well, Molly, I had an opportunity a time or two since I've been around. So I'll have a couple chats with him also, and he will be missed. And so let's. I mean, again, there's a passing. How is Chris Drury still alive as the GM and president of the team? Right. Well, that's a good segue, isn't it?
It's a wonderful segue.
Beautiful, really tasteful.
So I mean, right when I figured he was at the end of his rope, I think they give him the president of the team then too. So how are the fans doing with Chris?
It was actually an extension.
More time. He needed a little longer leash. Yeah.
It was a very public extension. That is not something that Madison Square Garden usually does. So what that should tell you is that was a message to everybody, both the fan base, the players, people in the organization, that he is here for the foreseeable future. As far as how the fans are handling it, I think it's a better question for them. I think one look online could answer that question. But look, I mean, obviously everybody knows Drury was in the organization for a pretty long time, moving from a player, then coming back in an executive role. And, you know, obviously he's been there for a bit. So it was a trajectory for him, and now he's in it. And I think that he obviously has a really good relationship with the man at the very, very top. And, you know, the sense that I get is he's got a runway here to fix what was broken, and fix partially what he broke too as well. So I do think that there's a runway there for him. But yeah, that extension announcement was intentional.
It sounded like that's a definition of insanity to me. But
well, Chris Drury, you say president, GM, great player, also now published author with his letters that he sends out every spring. So can you just explain because they're very confusing to people that are outside of the organization. They might even be confusing to people in the organization. Can you explain the latest one and kind of where they're at?
I mean, look, to give you an idea of how I feel about it, when I wrote about it, I didn't even write letter 2.0. I wrote letter 3.0 just to insinuate that there won't be a letter 3.0 because, yeah, obviously it's a little silly. You know, the first time around, it was obviously new and something different for them. And obviously it's the easiest way to communicate with the fan base and kind of acknowledge them and everything that they've been going through, and with the amount of money that these people pay to walk in through the doors of MSG. Yeah, you kind of have to give some acknowledgement there. But look, obviously, I mean, it's such a unique position that this organization is in. It's a team that went to the conference final twice in 3 years. I know people like to say 2022 was a blip, you know, 2024 President's Trophy winning team, then face plants the next season. So I think that, you know, he thinks that there's something in place there still to be salvageable. But, you know, who the heck actually knows if a teardown was probably the correct course of action. But when you've got a goalie like Igor Shesterkin, and I heard all the Adam Fox slander before I came on here, but the Adam Fox as the number one defenseman, and Mika Zibanejad returned to his elite two-way form last season. So they have key critical pieces in place, and on paper, the team should be so much better than they are. And I think there's a lot of outside factors that have influenced the last few seasons, whether it was the off-season drama that poured in from Barclay Goodrow and Jacob Trouba, you know, which just kind of became a drama-filled season. It felt like every freaking week some guy was airing their grievances, and like, you know, that's all fine and good, and you know, players are well within their right to do that. It just kind of become like a thing, and you don't want that, obviously, in a locker room. So I think that a lot has happened the last few years, and it's just kind of like they're trying to reset. And that was the whole point of the retool, and why they specifically said it's a retool, not a rebuild, because they've got guys in place on this roster who we just mentioned who are expecting to compete, and who are expecting to compete for a Stanley Cup. And if they're going out there and saying we're not, then they're leaving.
I am going back.
They all have no move clauses. They're all saying, all right, see you later. I'm going to a contender. Trade me. You know, like, that's how it works nowadays in this NHL.
Molly, I'm going back to slander because
sure,
just like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and J.K. Simmons saying slander is spoken, It's libel in print. It always stuck in my brain for some silly thing. Let's talk about Adam Fox, because
Sure.
like none of us are saying he isn't a good player. It's just that it's amazing when you go, wow, it was 6 years ago since he won the Norris. Where, from your perspective, you watch him every game. We watch him a couple of times a year. The Rangers are on TV a fair amount too, even if they aren't any good. Sorry, I just couldn't help it. But no, all seriousness, like, where is Adam Fox right now? Do you think in the echelon of elite number one defenseman in the league?
It's a great question. And it is a hot topic and is a big topic. And I feel like no one has been in the headlines more on a national level for the Rangers than Adam Fox in the last couple of seasons, which is pretty interesting. For me, it's pretty unique because I covered Cale Makar in college. I wrote the first time that they went head to head at the college level and did a whole preview for it as the two best soon to be players in the national defensemen in the National Hockey League going head to head in college. And at that time, obviously they were neck and neck. Makar ended up winning the Hobie Baker, but like, they were right there, right next to each other, competing. And obviously when they got into the NHL, even though Adam won that Norris in 2021, I mean, the difference is monumental, between the two. Cale Makar is in a completely different league. But I think that Adam Fox is still an elite defenseman just in his own way. And to a bunch of the points that I heard slanderously when I came onto the podcast, if you go down his page, he hasn't had a full season in 3 seasons.
Yep.
And when you go back to the first season that he got injured, that knee-on-knee hit, I think it took a lot longer for him to get back from 100% for that than a lot of people give him credit for. Not to mention the fact that the exact same play happened, I think, like a few months later. So 2 types of injuries like that, I think at most he's played 72 games in a season, the last 3 seasons. So he has not been healthy. Same thing with last season. He had 2 different injuries last season, and last season was obviously a complete lost cause. So they were not rushing him back either. So I think that the injuries definitely need to be taken into consideration. I think that a full healthy season for him would do wonders in terms of just ramping his game back up to the highest level, and he can have that uninterrupted takeoff into a season. But you have to take into consideration the injuries that he's dealt with the last 3 seasons, because I don't think that, and plus, obviously we could talk about the whole Olympics thing too, obviously. And I could tell you right now that Billy Guerin made that decision the day after 4 Nations. Like that's my impression. Like there was nothing he could have done. No matter how great of a start to the season that he had, I don't think that it would have changed his decision. And like everybody likes to talk about, it is true. The Rangers fought like hell for him, tried as hard as they could. I think Billy made that decision the day after 4 Nation ended.
Sounds like a Jason Robertson kind of.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Yeah, like that's my impression of the whole situation. It's, what are you going to do about that? There's quite literally nothing you can do about that. So and you can't say anything about Billy Guerin either because they won gold. So It's like everybody's fair. Everybody, it was a really crappy thing for Adam, I'm sure. And, but it happens and they won gold and, you move on and that's it. But yeah, it was obviously, it's been an interesting couple of years for Adam Fox, who was considered one of the best defensemen in the league.
Well, Mollie, since you're speaking of gold, you mentioned the gold medal.
My favorite topic, honestly.
Any Adam Fox conversation for here the rest of the show. I will not bring him up anymore. I'm not throwing him under the bus. So
I don't believe that.
We'll see.
I look at Mike Sullivan. I mean, when he comes from Pittsburgh, Boston, he wasn't great there, but I mean, he never had a season under 600, I think, as far as a winning percentage. So tough season for him. And how did he handle last year? And was he a different guy when he came back after February? And I would say having a gold medal, but I didn't even know this till last year. Those guys don't get gold medals.
Yeah, coaches.
That's ridiculous.
Pretty blasphemous. Yeah, pretty freaking crazy. Especially when you talk about how all the medals have seemingly been cheaper and cheaper every year. Come on, you can't make just 4 or 5 more. Come on. No, I wouldn't say that he was a changed coach at all. He is such a seasoned guy. And he's so just professional in that way. You know, I was lucky enough to sit down with him one-on-one before we went to Milan. And obviously he was so excited about that. And it was cool to kind of see him go from city to city and field questions about the Olympics and about opposing players who he was considering for his teams and things like that. So it was really interesting. But no, I mean, look, he's the guy that Chris Drury's wanted. Yeah, he wanted to hire him before Gerard Gallant. Like, that's how long he's wanted Mike Sullivan. So this is his guy. And I think that of any of the coaches that they've had, which there have been quite a few, yeah, I think Mike Sullivan definitely has, you know, the longest runway just because of, you know, I think there's a lot of mutual respect there. There's a previous relationship there. And, you know, I don't know, if I'm Mike Sullivan, I'm coming in after seeing them axe the last three coaches after 2 to 3 years as flippantly as they did. I'm thinking, you know, I need some insurance here that I'm going to need to get in there and really establish my culture, myself, integrate into this team, you know, without feeling like I'm on a time crunch, you know, without feeling like I have, you know, a timer counting down behind me. So I do think that he's their guy. And I mean, I've enjoyed covering him. I think he's a really, really smart coach. And I think that he has the right temperament for this kind of team to be able to manage all of these big personalities and egos that they have in there, which is exactly what he was able to do in Pittsburgh for all those years, so they say.
All right, Sam's going to take the ball next, or the puck. But before we do, we have to knock out an ad break. And I will warn you, Molly, don't listen to anything Lud says. These are empty promises here on DLLS.
What he's pretty much saying, Molly, is you're not going to get one of these shirts that I'm going to talk about.
Yeah.
Are you telling me you've heard this story already about what's happening with our shirts?
Well, I don't know. I just know that I've been promised one for years and never got it.
Well, then see that there you go. That's Ben.
She was the first.
Our GM Ben. But anyway, Molly, the one shirt we've been trying to get out there, and for all you folks for coming on, it's called Nothing Else Matters. And as far as we're concerned, nothing else matters that you guys get this shirt. But that is one of our best sellers right there, Molly. And maybe someday, I got a funny feeling Owen's going on a little trip to take to his buddy in, I don't know where it is, Owen, Ottawa or California, whatever. Maybe you can swing by Molly. But we also have we have the captain shirt. We have Jamie Benn, and I'm sure right now Ryan has got pulled up. Oh, he does. Normally, there's our captain shirt. So Jamie's back here too. And then we have the Mikko Rantanen collection. It's a collection. So which one are you going to start with today? There's the Moose shirt. Ludz has got his own model of that Moose shirt. Then we also have the finisher. And we added an extra fin. So we got a big shark swimming around this year. I think we got 6 fin. I don't know. What do we got? 5 or 6?
We're up to 6 right now.
11.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
11.
Okay. Well, yeah. A big goal scorer came in this year. And so we have the Finnish Mafia. Let's not forget the sharpshooter. Molly, you would probably like to wear this one. This is the Wyatt Johnston sharpshooter. That would look good on you. Also, if you haven't heard, Jason Robertson is back for a year. I don't know if you've written an article on football, and how close was he to being a New York Ranger? But there is a Robo shirt. And Sam, I believe, Sam, are you wearing the caddy hat today? I think you are. I think Sam Nessler has our hat collection. I think Sam was there. It is right there. We have our caddy hat, and then we also have all of our other colors, and we have the big white one is the DLLS one over there on the right hand side. So Molly, good luck getting one of those. Just put in your order.
I've been waiting for the Finnish Mafia shirt for no joke 2 years, but like that's fine. Like it's all right.
Where is Ben?
Not just waiting, but refreshed. So twice.
Well, the best was when you came up to me in the press box and were like, "Hey Molly, did you ever get that shirt?" And I was like, "Oh no!" I was like, "Oh no, that never came. That absolutely never came." And you were like, all right, I gotta text someone about this. I was like, all right,
whoever you texted, it didn't work, Sam.
It didn't pay off.
Oh,
but,
all right.
I'm just checking by the mail every day, but
it'll be there. It's a little slow. It's a little slow.
Go ahead, Sam. You get to lead off after that. No pressure.
Yeah. Oh well, I love Ludz throwing out the goal scoring fin coming in was the best.
If you run a big goal in the bubble,
big goal scorer. But Molly, you were in Milan, right?
Yes, I was.
So, open-ended question. How the heck was that?
The greatest experience of my life. Like truly one of the most surreal things to be a part of, and just so rewarding, because I wish people could have seen our Islanders writer Ethan Sears and I belligerent them weeks after week after week after week, just telling them that this is going to be I was like, the US are going to win. I was like, it's going to be the US and Canada for gold, and US really could win. I was like, both teams, both the men and the women, they're going for gold. We're going to want to be there. Trust me. It's the NHL's return. It's a huge deal. So we fought like hell. We fought like hell for them to send us. And they finally agreed 50 days out, and we booked everything. And we ended up getting a beautiful Airbnb in the middle of Milan that was like perfect distance from everything that we needed to go to. But not to mention, I mean, covering two gold medal runs, two very different gold medal runs too. You know, both the men's and the women's were just so entertaining. It was so much fun. It was so surreal to be there, and to experience that and just see. I didn't really know, like, I didn't really expect to see so many hockey fans traveling from all over the world, you know, like for a Denmark game, you know, like just seeing like people dressed head to toe in red and white, and like just they've come from so far, and it was really rewarding. I met so many great people, you know, random fans, and like a Canadian bar, you know, things like that. And obviously Milan is so beautiful and one of the fashion capitals of the world, so I was very happy to be there as well.
Sam, little do you know that Mollie was actually going to join us on the show during our Olympic break, because we still had to work the whole time from Milan. But she said until she got her Finnish Mafia shirt, she was boycotting the show. So.
Can you imagine? Yeah. No, I didn't have this. I think the entire time I was there, Ethan and I had, so 2 full weeks. Ethan and I had maybe 4 sit-down meals. Like
really?
in an actual restaurant, like with a drink for more than an hour.
You're
like,
in Milan. That seems criminal.
I know. I didn't have pasta until like the 6th or 7th day.
They didn't have it in the press box?
The food was really, it was bad for the first couple of days. No. Like, it was like, I don't even know how I'm going to eat. Like, it was so bad. But then it got better as the tournament went on, which was kind of funny seeing it change every day to be like a little bit better, or have like one extra option, you know. But I mean, people weren't going all the way for the food, you know, like, please, come on. So it was great. The arena was functioning and fine, and so it was great.
And to bail out Mollie, she tried really hard with her schedule, but because of the time change, she was at the rink.
There was no change
every time. I think I asked you 2 or 3 days and went, okay, I'm going to stop asking because it's just going to annoy you that
I had
you're like,
no
I can't.
Time.
Yeah,
I barely had time to eat.
Mollie, we know how you feel.
Yes, indeed.
No, I didn't even have time to eat. Like, and we were so like, because of, I didn't realize how far away the arena was from where we were staying. And so there was just no option to go back, like between a morning skate and a game. Like, you just had to suck it up and be there all day. And I mean, I bought like enough clothes for 2 outfits every day. So I like overpacked like so much because I ended up just being in the same outfit for a 12-hour day. And we didn't get out of there until like after, 1 o'clock sometimes. And then we'd get back and just like stuff our faces with snacks because there was no restaurants in that area. It's not like New York where you literally can get any type of food at legit 2 a.m. if you want. Nothing to eat. So we would just sit snacking on random things like in silence for like an hour as we like calmed down from whatever game we just watched. So it was awesome. It was a great experience.
I think the Canadian guys talked about either sweet talking or bribing their hotels bartenders or
to stay
open so they could come back and have something other than just whatever snacks they could conjure up.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine staying in a hotel, what that must have been like. I mean, our Airbnb was great for a lot of reasons. But yeah, finding, like, I remember Ethan and I, the first night that we got back at like 1:30, we walked around for 35 minutes to like 6 different places that said they were open online, but we're very much so closed when we walked. I almost felt like someone was going to jump out of the bush and be like, where do you think you are? Like, you can't, they don't do that over here. Everybody's asleep. Go back. So we went back starving that night, and we had to, my mom ended up coming. Because my mom and I are huge Olympic fans. So when I found out I was going, I paid for her to come
Oh,
and
very cool.
join me. Yeah. So, but it was great because she went shopping for us while we were out all day and got like bread and cold cuts and just like random snacks so that we could actually have food when we got back from the games.
All right,
I want to any other events, Mollie?
Yeah, I did the ice skating too, which was really fun. I was there when the quad god blew it.
Oh no.
Oh my God. And like I'm sitting there like, oh my God, that was insane. And then we go down to the, this is the first ice skating event I've ever covered. It's not, the New York Post, we don't cover ice skating. So I get down to like the, it was like a interview space where the athletes would come through. And there's so many people, and it's like a ton of international media for ice skating, obviously. But I'm in this like big scrum, and the quad god comes over, and nobody is asking any questions. I'm like, is somebody going to ask him a question? I'm like, oh my God. And he's just standing there like looking at us. And I'm like, this is your beat, guys. I'm like, you've been here. You've been covering him for years. I'm like, okay. So then I start asking him questions, and I'm like, why am I the one? I'm like trying to stumble through, like, so I know you were trying to do a triple axel on that third jump. Why did it only become a single? Like, I'm not asking it properly. I'm like, what is going on? But it was cool. It was an awesome experience. And I mean, even ice skating is so much fun to watch. What an experience.
It's like when some people that haven't been covering the hockey team all year show up in the playoffs and ask about playoff beards and all that fun, right?
Correct. Or just, parachute in and ask a question that we've asked, day one of training camp. And you're like, bruh, please.
Okay.
Sit in the back.
I have to ask you about Pavel Dorofeyev now, because I honestly, we could do the rest of it on the Olympics because I love it too. I'm fascinated. The fact that the Alpine events were 4 hours away in Cortina, that was probably disappointing, but still pretty cool. But let's talk about Dorofeyev, because this is a big move. I like the trade, and it seems like this retool we keep chuckling about, they needed something like this. And I actually, I don't know about you, I'm kind of okay with a little bit lower trade value for 7 years rather than a sign and trade for 8.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's semantics at that point. Obviously, it's a long-term commitment to a young guy, but I think that there's a lot there for sure of that justifies that long-term contract. It sounds like he's pretty familiar with New York, very comfortable in New York, which is always something that you want to take into consideration with a deal like that. And yeah, I think the number one best thing about it is that he's a finisher. And I feel like the Rangers haven't had a finisher in a really.
You've been listening.
You're all like, oh my God.
Yeah, like,
the t-shirt.
Yeah, like I feel, I do want that damn t-shirt, man. But I feel like that, like they've had the plug. The plug is great production, guys. No, I feel like they've had playmakers, they've had shooters. You need someone to finish, like someone who's just going to put the loose puck in the back of the freaking net around the net. And
sounds like Sam.
They don't have a lot of that. They just, they haven't for a while. Like they just don't have like someone who's got that finishing touch, who's going to have like a weird shot or it bounces up, whatever. And it just always ends up in the back of the net. Like, I feel like he's that kind of guy. And even watching him in the shoulder check showcase, which obviously is not at full speed and not like, very real, but like watching Fox, give him a little dish on the side and him just no hesitation, back of the net, twine immediately. Like they haven't had that. They've had guys that it goes wide. It, completely misses the mark. You shoot it right into the goalie's chest, like that just has seemed to be such an issue for them over their time going up and down, whether they were good or not good. Like they just didn't have that. Cause you look at Artemi and he's a playmaker. He's, point producer. He's just, he wasn't battling around the net ever. Like, you weren't going to see him there. So I think that he will get to the net, and he has the skills to put it in the back of the net. And I think that's like the number one trait of his that they were looking for. And, they're going to really need to replace Artemi's production this year. So you need a guy has a bit of a track record of being consistent, in his production.
Well, we do have a sharpshooter shirt, but you're not getting that kid. He ain't going. Mollie, I would have another hockey question for you, but since this is a Rangers show, I want to say to a friend of mine, ours, Ron Duguay, to continue to keep fighting. Dukes is battling, and he's going to continue to keep fighting. Have you had any? Indian, one of the most popular players in New York Rangers history. I mean, and for good reason. Man, he's a lucky dude. Had a good career. I had to, he was here in Dallas with us and a couple of our events that we did. And so what a great kid, great son and all that kind of stuff. So have you spoken to Dukes at all lately?
Yeah, I reached out to him when I saw that he was first diagnosed, just to check in on him and how he's doing. I don't know if you know him, and I used to co-host our Up in the Blue Seats podcast together when I first signed on with the Post. So him and I got very well acquainted, and fun fact, he is my mom's favorite player of all time, as he is for probably a lot of middle-aged women in the
He's
United
got great
States
hair.
and Canada. But my mom was a super fan, like huge fan. So the fact that I ended up working with him was like the greatest thrill of her life. And he was always so nice to her, still is, like, still responds to her messages when she's messaging him and stuff on Instagram. But he always had the time of day for her, and always has. And I've always very much so appreciated that. So I am also pulling for him and hoping that he gets well.
Mollie, we are out of time for what we bargained for you, but do you have a few extra minutes? Can we be greedy with you? Okay.
No, keep going.
We've got to do a Sam Reed because we have to talk about this rank wheat stuff, and then more with Mollie in a moment here on DLLS.
Let's just start off with this ad read is brought to you by Crate and Barrel. Let's just start off with the rank week.
And the journal.
Coming up here in a couple weeks, the rank week. I have already voted. It's a diehard only and employee only voting. You get to vote for all kinds of cool stuff. Like I think it's the GOAT, that's what they call it. But it's the best hoops player of all time, best quarterbacks of all time, and then your specific market. So for us, Dallas, I think it's the best Dallas players of all time. And then there's one that I like that's the biggest Dallas villains of all time. So whoever goes below Nico Harrison on that should be interesting for the voting. One warning, as I said yesterday, if you click the submit button before you're done, it'll submit it. So don't do that, because I missed about half the voting. Make sure you fill in all of the votes. But for people that I saw in the chat yesterday that said the blank questions are intimidating, you can skip some if you really need to. So make sure you go on.
Skipped half of them.
Yeah, I just skipped all of the ones I didn't know. But go into the Discord for any information on that. We'll be firing that out over the next couple of weeks, and get there and get your votes in. If you want to be a diehard, to join that, you can become a diehard, alldls.com/diehard. You get access to that Discord, which you can vote. You can join our bracket challenges. You can have fun conversations during and after the game. You can ask questions that we ask on our show to guests. You can even send us $35 to maybe help Mollie get an actual t-shirt. Whatever you want to do, alldls.com/diehard. And then you get access to all the cool stuff, all the writing from myself, but all our other teams. And you get 20% off merch, 20% off events, and a free t-shirt when you sign up. I know I keep hitting the t-shirts. Sorry, Mollie, but you get a free t-shirt when you sign up. And I believe you get a free t-shirt after that every year. So join right now, alldls.com/diehard.
Mollie is rethinking her ascent of, yes, I'll stick around for a few.
Diehard.
Just dangle it in front of me at this point.
Doing my best.
It's like almost like you're teasing. Like,
I know,
geez.
seriously. This retool, we keep laughing about it, but there are actually quite a few young players, what they've been calling on the NHL.com on the cusp as they do these team resets. And I'm going to, I'll save the defensive questions because I think Luds might want to ask about Pettersson and Durzi, but there are just this litany of young forwards, D and goalies for the Rangers that could very well be a really, impactful player. And it's not just Noah Laba who's playing already, but also, Cole Baudouin, who just got there. I'm going to say Yaroslav Himalash very poorly, but
no, yes, correct. Himalash.
Thank you. Drew Fortescue, Dylan Garan, Liam Greentree was part of the Panarin trade, Scott Morrow. Then you've got Albert Smeed and Adam Sikor. I mean, there's a lot of guys that could completely transform this roster, which I guess is kind of the point of a retool, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. And I think one of the number one things, which, was openly written in the letter 2.0, was wanting to get younger. So I think they do have a really nice, pretty dramatic balance of veterans, especially like in the top six. Whereas, more in the bottom six is a pretty robust collection of young talent as well, which they utilized the second half of last season to really give those guys a look and see what they can do. And that was the best hockey they played all season. So I think a lot of that, that probably doesn't only have to do with that fact. A lot of other things were probably influencing that, but yeah, it's an exciting time for a lot of those guys who have been kind of marinating in the American Hockey League for some time and are banging on the door. Like they're done. Like they want a chance at the very least, so I think they're all, itching to get an opportunity. And I do think that some of them will have an opportunity. And I think this training camp for the Rangers, I feel like will be more competitive in terms of competition for spots than in years past, where a lot of things have been pretty set in stone going in, aside from maybe 2 or 3 spots.
Molly, you said banging on the door. Were they banging on the door more or less than you were banging on the doors of the restaurants in Milan at 2 o'clock in the morning? Just so we know.
Like maybe a little more.
Okay.
Maybe
So
just
right
a smidge. Like really close though. Like
Well, Molly, since we're talking about banging doors here,
Yep.
Owen mentioned Durzi and Pettersson. Mike Sullivan, was he banging the door for Pettersson? I mean, familiar with the guy.
Yeah.
I think a guy like Shesterkin would probably appreciate a guy like that playing in front of him. Thoughts on him?
I'm sure that Sullivan had a say in it 100%. I think Pettersson had his career best season under Mike Sullivan, if I'm not mistaken. So I definitely think that played a role in it. But I think one of the biggest issues for the Rangers last season was just breakouts and just transitioning up the ice and getting the puck into the forwards' hands. Like it was every, zone entry was like just so difficult. Like it was nothing was clean. And I know, because Drury said it himself, that the defense was 100% a focus this offseason. And I mean, they went out and completely put together a new second pair, which was crucial for them because, especially last season, the drop off from the Fox Gavrikov pair to the rest of the D was dramatic. Like it just felt like the difference was pretty astronomical, and they had no mobility. Like they had nobody back there who could break it out cleanly, who was making fast decisions. It's a lot of young guys too. You got Matthew
You just summed up my whole career.
No, but you got like Matthew Robertson, who is still green. He's been in the American League for so long. And he was a serviceable third pair guy, but he's probably more of a seventh, fringe. And it made them so slow from the back end. And it just
That's still
was
Luds.
It was it was one of the most difficult aspects of their game for them to overcome, for sure. So I look at Durzi and I look at Pettersson, and they will bring that. They're much more mobile, and they've got a good balance of, Pettersson being a little bit more stay at home, a little bit more shut down, and Durzi a little bit more offensive minded. and able to, push up the rush a little bit more that way. I like the pair. I like the pair a lot. I like Sean Durzee's game. I always have. I find him to be very entertaining to watch just in terms of his fiery nature, which the Rangers could use all of that. They need a little bit more of that. I mean, JT has enough for the whole team, but you need to spread it out a little bit, So I think Durzi has that fire and that dog in him, as the kids like to say. And I like the pair. I do. I haven't seen it yet, but in theory, I like it. So,
Mollie, I very badly want to ask you about BC's own Gabe Perreault because I want to talk about college hockey, but I'm not going to. But I just looking at that team: Ryan Leonard, Will Smith, Cutter Gauthier, Gabe Perreault, and even Stars prospect Aaron Menidian. So incredible team. But because it's my last question, I have a more important one for you. Take us through being in New York City for the New York Knicks championship, and what does that do for the pressure on the Rangers?
It's funny because I don't really see it as putting pressure on the Rangers. If anything, I see it alleviating pressure on Madison Square Garden. I think that they've been chasing that championship for a very, very long time on both sides, 50 and 30 years. So I really don't look at it that way. I look at it more of here's what's possible and how do we replicate it? How do we mosey and that on over to the other side of the organization? And I think that was one of the many, many factors that went into Quentin Dolan assuming the day-to-day responsibilities of ownership from his father, because he was also a really big part in the Knicks run. So I think they're just trying to take a little bit of that and sprinkle it over on the other side and see if they can capture magic that way. But what a time for the city. I watched Game 4 after coming back from covering a Mets game, and it was the last 10 minutes, and I was home alone, and I was just sitting on my couch, and I have a balcony with a door out to the street, and there was a bar like right next door that was also clearly watching the game, but they were ahead of me on the broadcast, so I could hear every single time something sick was about to happen, and I could like brace myself. And when Jalen Brunson put up that 3-pointer, I had already heard them celebrating. So I was like, holy shit, this is going in. Like this 3 right here, it's going in. And then it bounces out and you just see OG come in. And I was standing screaming, and you just hear the whole block, all of my block screaming at the top of their lungs. And it's just such like there's no word for it, to feel every single person on an island celebrating the same thing. And when they won, just standing on my balcony and listening you could hear the cars honking all the way downtown. The city was going nuts. And I tried to go to the parade with my mom, and we got stuck in the subways because they just closed. They closed all the entrances from the subways out into the streets because it was so packed. The streets could not hold another freaking person. And we got stuck like sardines in the subway on Fulton Street. And I was with my mom. So I'm like, crap, I have to be the adult in this situation because I actually know what I'm doing and where I'm going. And I just had to say to her, we're getting on the next uptown train out of here. We can't do it. So we weren't able to go because that's how many people came for that parade. They said that the bins on the side of the street were filled by 6 a.m.
Jeez.
6 a.m. 6 a.m. 6 a.m. You could not get a spot on the entire row in those pens next to the street. So to give you an idea of how many people wanted to be there and celebrate it, I mean, it meant everything. It meant everything to everybody. And I was a huge Knicks fan growing up. And my dad and I but my dad can't even watch the games. My dad is that big of a fan that I had to give him a play-by-play on the OG play because he didn't even freaking see it. I was like, what is wrong with you? Turn on the highlights right now. What do you mean you didn't watch it in real time? Oh my God. So yeah, it was epic. It was absolutely epic. But I see it more as the Rangers, I think the whole Madison Square Garden can kind of, all right, we got one, and it's possible for a championship to happen under Dolan. Can't say that anymore. So I think if anything, I think it definitely alleviates a bit for the organization, the company as a whole.
And lastly, to follow that up, you're the last Metro Division team that we've done in our summer series. Obviously, we talked about your schedule before, and we wanted to make sure all of our viewers and listeners can see why we wanted to make sure Mollie was our Rangers correspondent.
Thanks, guys.
And it's a bloodbath in the Eastern Conference, right? And as much as you've kind of convinced me the Rangers look like they have some reasons for optimism coming into this season, I genuinely, I don't know how they're going to fight through that murky middle, because Columbus was really close, and I think Bones is going to have them playing their hearts out. Detroit, after 10 years and collapsing yet again, has to do something. The Florida Panthers are much, much better. Ottawa lost Brady Tkachuk, but they want to prove that they are more than just their captain. And I go on and on and on. All these teams think they're playoff teams. Somebody's going to miss out, and I guess we're going to have 84 games of fun for that. I have to finish with this. Our head of production, who's in charge of multiple networks, Katya, was filling in as our producer last summer when we were in some production flux. And now Ryan has been on the job for a year, and he's phenomenal. But Kat, specifically when she saw you were coming on again, says, please ask Mollie, and you know where I'm going with this, if the Little Caesars Arena media dining still ranks as the class in the league.
Yes, hell yes it does. Hell yes it does, girlfriend. It is still number one. It is iconic. It is my favorite, by far my favorite media meal on the entire NHL tour. I'll talk about it to anybody who will listen. I dream of the Little Caesar pizzas that's available at Little Caesars Arena. I'll leave you with that. I literally dream of it. Like, it is
better than the Olympics food.
I mean, lowest bar to clear that you ever possibly could have said. But I mean, I'm pretty sure I made a TikTok of it. It's really far down now because it was like one of the first things I did when I started making TikToks was show what the Detroit media meal looks like. And it's great. Absolute 12 out of 10, no notes. Highly recommend. If you can get your way in there somehow, you should.
We're going to try to see if we can get the budget to get not only you a t-shirt, but Sam somehow to Detroit sometime in the next 5 years.
Please.
I might take a detour or two, but I'll get there.
Yeah, just don't fly. We're going to drive you there. Well, Mollie, we could do 2 hours. You're great. Obviously, we love having you on. Thank you so much. Let's do it again. The Stars, I think, and the Rangers have a date on New Year's Eve in Dallas, which should be a lot of fun. So
where are we going out, guys? Where are we going out?
Maybe to where they manufacture our t-shirts.
Yeah, I got to bang it on that door.
That's right. Maybe they'll be open late, if not in Milan. But thank you so much. I can't tell you how much fun it is to have you on.
Thanks, Mollie.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, there she goes. Mollie Walker from the New York Post. Check her out. She is phenomenal at both her coverage and her enthusiasm for the game. It's really, really fun. Fellas, we're a little over time, but you can see why we have to have her on. She brings the energy. And I just want to get your final thoughts. Did she convince you at all that the Rangers might have some reason for improvement this year?
No.
Slander.
No, she's upbeat, and she's selling the team, obviously. You look at where they are, where they finished. I just don't know how they're going to find a way in. You talk about the East and the teams in both divisions. It's a tough road for them.
Sam?
Well, they finished dead last in the East, so I'm going to say they're going to get better. They might finish third to last in the East.
Who's the worst team at the end of the 84 games of the three in the tri-state area? Even though we don't need to bring up Connecticut, they don't have a team.
Nobody knows. Nobody has a clue what the Devils are going to do.
That's what I wonder.
Yeah, they could very easily drop out because their goaltending's a mess, and who knows what's going on. But I still think the Rangers are a step below those two. All
right, tomorrow we have a big show. Sam, big guest tomorrow on the show. Logan Stankoven,
Stanley Cup champion. I believe our first, at least our first, who had just won a Stanley Cup. I'm not sure.
We have a two-time winner on the program every day.
That's true. But
our first active.
Yeah, let's say that.
Would that be right? I have to think about our previous. Yeah, because you might be right. It might be our first active member.
Lots of good stuff to ask him. I'm excited.
All right. So huge thank you to Mollie Walker from the New York Post, as well as, of course, our crew. Ryan Vodder's our producer, Craig Ludwig, Sam Nessler. I'm Owen Newkirk. We will be back tomorrow at 2:00. Logan Stankoven will be our guest. Should be a heck of a lot of fun. Don't forget to like and subscribe and get that DieHard subscription and go vote for the GOATs right here on DLLS.
Look at you. That's fine. Stop. We're done.
We all silly like the mayor.